to the Inspiring Marriages podcast. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Teresa Fields. And we've been happily married for 32 years.
We have 3 grown children, a wonderful son-in-law, and a precious grandbaby. And our heart for this podcast is to share our stories about our friendship and how we developed our friendship and maintained our friendship to inspire your marriage. Because husband and wife should be friends for life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we want you to go to our website, inspiringmarriages.net, and sign up for our free PDF. And right now, our PDF consists of marriage builders. And we want to send you this PDF. You can print it out. You can keep it on your phone. Mm-hmm. You can add to it, take away from it. You might read something and say, we don't want to do this. But this is something that we have done. And we want to encourage you to intentionally do marriage builders to build your friendship.
That's right.
To work on your marriage. Because you have like Jimmy Evans says, every marriage has a 100% chance of being successful and a blessing. Because your marriage should not be something you just suffer through to get through to the good times. Your marriage should be dynamic and exciting and encouraging and a light to this world. Yes, your marriage should be a reflection of Christ and the church and that dynamic, loving relationship.
Amen.
So that's what our heart of this, our heart is for this podcast is to share our story, how we incorporated the scriptures, the Word of God, into our marriage, and how we have developed and maintained our relationship. Our marriage.
That's right. Okay, so we're going to share a couple of our key verses that we've talked about in the last 2 episodes, just to continue to lay this foundation for friendship and marriage. So you like to share your favorite one?
Yeah, so week before last, we talked about Proverbs 18:22. New Living Translation says, the man who finds a wife finds a treasure and receives favor from the Lord. So that word treasure can mean good, beautiful, best, bountiful, pleasant, precious, prosperity, wealth, and favor.
Wow. That's a lot. Yes, and I really like the verse that I was sharing last week, Proverbs 17:17 from the Amplified Classic. A friend loves at all times and is born as is a brother for adversity. We stick together through the good times and the bad times. Right.
Your friend is to help you through adversity. There's never should be a time in your marriage where you're fighting something by yourself. Right. You should always be free to come to your spouse and share what's going on. And you should work hand in hand, back to back, fighting everything together.
Right. Just going through life together. It's so much more enjoyable with a companion, with a friend, someone who knows you and cares about you selflessly.
Franz Schubert said, "Happy is the man who finds a true friend, and far happier is he who finds that true friend to be his wife."
That's good. That's so good. And I like the one you found by Fawn Weaver. I hadn't heard about this before. Friendship in marriage is the spark that lights an everlasting flame. I really like that. That spark. It comes from the friendship. We want to have a spark of romance or a spark of this or that, something exciting in marriage. Well, it really comes from that day in and day out.
Right.
Friendship, fellowship, companionship. You know how important it was to have a friend when you were a child. You wanted to have a best friend, a good friend, someone to go through things with and have fun with. And that's how it is in marriage. We don't lose that need for friendship just because we get married.
Right. It's even more important to develop your friendship for your marriage.
Yes.
Because husband and wife should be friends for life.
Absolutely. Yes, I really like that. So we were going to encourage everyone who listens, everyone who watches on YouTube, that what we're going to do is recount some history of our friendship, and we want to encourage you to get together, those 30 minutes of talking together. Start remembering how you met, how your friendship got started.
Yeah, open up your book of memories and maybe mental, and go back over your first date. What were you feeling, wife, when your husband came to pick you, your future husband came to pick you up? What were you feeling that day? What were you thinking about? And how did you, now maybe your first date was a disaster and you can laugh about it now, but maybe there's some really sweet memories. But you should continually bring up milestones in your relationship and go back over it and recount the things that the Lord has done, and kind of things like Israel did. They went back and these things that the Lord did, and they read them out aloud, and they remembered, because they had forgotten the things that the Lord had done for them. So they both got out, they found the scriptures, and they were amazed at things that God had done. But we encourage you to, as we share some things about our milestones in our marriage, to go back with your spouse and go over those wonderful memories and the things that help develop your friendship with your spouse. Now, you know that you fell in love with your spouse because you talked a lot. You fell in love by talking, and you get to know each other by talking. So it's important to continue that in your marriage, to have that time every day, if you can, to talk and pray, and to build on your friendship. As you build on your friendship, you'll build up your marriage in every area, spiritually, physically, emotionally. You will build your marriage, and you'll bring that closeness that you should have back.
That's right.
This podcast drops every Friday morning at 6 a.m. Central. It's going to last about 30 minutes, and it'll be an opportunity for you to listen to it on the way to work. You can download it to your phone. You can listen to it during the day. You can listen to it as you're spending time together that night before you go to bed. And you can talk about your versions of these milestones in your marriage, in your relationship.
Yes, yes. So we want to begin with talking about how and where we met. And of course, the whole theme underlying this whole story of our friendship is that neither one of us was looking for someone to date when we interacted, when we had conversation or were in the same place at the same time. So we actually met at a Bible study that both of us decided to attend at our workplace. And I didn't know he was going to be there. He didn't know I was going to be there. But I think you were reminding me it was about 20 people that would come to this Bible study.
Right. They would have it on an Air Force base. It was where we worked. And they would just have a conference room. And people would come during lunch on their own time. And there would be usually a leader who would share a topic and speak about that topic. Bob Blackwell invited me to it. And Bob Blackwell was a Baptist minister pastor there in the middle of Georgia area. He invited me to, and there was about 20 people there, and men and women, different ages. And I can remember Teresa being one of the ladies there, and I was still in college, so I was kind of nerdy, geeky. I had didn't dress very well. I just.
You always had on your school jacket.
Yeah, I was kind of nerdy. And brown hair, and Teresa's done wonders for me. Always helping me dress since then. I remember Teresa being there, and these other ladies, but I remember distinctly that she would always have like a bowl of fruit for lunch. And I remember thinking, wow, I can never just eat a bowl of fruit for lunch. I need something more substantial for lunch. Something.
It was so refreshing.
It was refreshing, right.
I was eating fruits and veggies during the day at that time. Little runner and all of that.
But we just got acquainted and on speaking terms at the Bible study. I remember one time you led worship at that Bible study, and you brought your guitar, your Yari.
Wow.
And I think I helped carry it back to your cubicle.
Yes, that was so sweet. I'm glad you reminded me of that when we were talking about this the other day, because he was already in that mode of serving. I mean, you were treating me as you would any other young woman that you knew as a believer in the church. We were like brothers and sisters in the Lord, and that's not a bad thing. That actually gives you such great boundaries. There's no emotional expectations. There's no, well, you're my friend, you shouldn't be friends with this other lady. And, there would be no competition, no jealousy there, because we had a friendship, knowing each other in the Lord and getting to know each other. So I didn't feel any expectations from you for dating, for romance, or any of that kind of thing, even as we got to know each other better.
Right. It is so important to develop friendships. As even before you enter into a courtship with someone or into a serious relationship, to develop multiple friendships with men and women.
That's right.
That you can interact with them as a friend.
That's healthy.
And it's healthy.
That's very
healthy.
And
we got more acquainted at different single events or different outings at church meetings. And we lived in an area, about 200, maybe 250,000 people in the middle of Georgia area at that time. I'm sure it's much larger now. And there was lots of churches around. I think Macon, Georgia has more churches per person than any other place in America. It has plenty of churches.
A lot of churches.
But there were single groups around, and we got to know her. We were in different groups or among the same groups, and we would do things together, go to concerts and events.
Mutual friends.
That we developed a friendship.
Right. That's a great way to get to know someone with a group of people, because you find out their interests, and they may learn of your interests and have friends in common.
Right.
So there's a lot building there without any of the pressure of dating.
Yeah, and you need to see your friends in relationship to other friends.
Yes.
See how they interact with other people, and
absolutely,
it's really important for a young lady to know that the guys in the group have nefarious motives.
Right.
They're just trying to manipulate a relationship that's really not there.
Right.
So it's really important to earn trust and to get to know someone in a group setting. That's my opinion. In a group setting, it's best to have it to know someone. You can find out anything you need to know about a person in a group setting. You really can.
That's right. Anything, yes, you need to know, because you're not in an intimate relationship yet. So you find out what you need to know. I like that. I think that's really good.
Right. So after I graduated from college, I'm an engineer. After I graduated from college, there was opportunities open to me to minister 3 times a week at 3 different prisons in 3 different directions. One was 30 minutes north.
Wow.
Another one was an hour east, Millersville. Another was like an hour, 45 minutes south, east, Dodge Corrections Institute.
Yeah, that's right.
But since I knew that Teresa had led worship and she was a worshiper, the opportunity opened up to minister every Thursday night it's called a halfway house. These were people that were getting released from prison, and they were worked during the day, but they would have to come back to the halfway house, which it was like a large school. We had guards, and they had rooms, and it was very regulated. You couldn't just walk in there; you had to have approval. But I had remembered that Teresa had led worship at the Bible study, and this prison ministry in Thursday night got turned over to me. Like, here, it's just you. So I was part of a ministry of reconciliation, and we went to a lot of different prisons. But I was a member of that, and so that got turned over to me. I said, well, so I had to find her, and it's not easy to find someone when there's thousands of people in the base phone book. But I found that T. Taylor. Well, is this her? I don't know. So I called her, and it was her. I didn't know if she was married, or I didn't know, because it's been a few years since I've seen her. And like, well, she might be married. It may not be her name anymore. So I called T. Taylor, and it was her. And I think, did you remember me?
I think so. Yes, I think so. So I wouldn't have just done this with a stranger, somebody I didn't think I knew.
Yeah. So she started coming with me to the halfway house to lead worship before I taught maybe 30, 45 minutes after that. I don't remember. But beforehand, since it would be late when we got out, we would meet at a Wendy's in there in Warner Robins, and they had a buffet. They had a Mexican buffet, believe it or not. Yes. And we would have time there. We just sit there and talk and have our food. And I think one time you invited your brother Anthony to join. I got to meet her brother Anthony.
Yes.
He was also an engineer, so we got along very well. Teresa's dad was an engineer, and her brother's an engineer. I think all your brothers are engineers, right?
Yes, all in the technical field.
They're all in the technical field. So.
Yeah, and my brother would be such a good match for him as a friend. They're both very intellectual, very smart, and studied hard in their field. And he needed a good friend, so that was great to include him sometimes with our little dinner outing.
Anthony's fantastic. And so, but after a while, I don't remember how long, but the church that Teresa was a member of, their praise team moved their practices to Thursday night, so she was no longer able to help me, but I didn't take that as rejection or some kind of put down of me that she was not doing that anymore, because I didn't have that expectation on her, because we didn't have that type of relationship that you should be prioritizing me over your group. No, it wasn't that type of relationship. So, no. But our friendship didn't end. I mean, we're still able to be friends and connect and talk and continue our friendship together. Right. But that was a special time of ministry together, because we were able to get to know each other through ministry.
Yes, that's important too. Ministering together or serving in the same department of your church, not trying to find somebody to date, but serve in an area. And if you meet people and you're working alongside people, God could bring a lifelong relationship out of that, whether it's friendship or marriage. And it's not because you're seeking each other out, because God brings people together in the right place, in the right time. And he can bring good out of that, bring a really wonderful relationship out of it.
And one time we attended a conference. Rick Bonfim had a conference, and he was different, but very intense,
ministry.
Very powerful ministry. Wonderful singer. Oh God, what a beautiful voice he has.
Yes, that's right. He had a really good voice.
But there was a conference he had in Athens, Georgia, at a hotel. I think we stayed. Well, we didn't stay together. We were there at the hotel a couple of nights. But it wasn't just us. There was other people. I don't know. Anthony was there, or there were some other ladies,
people.
And there were some guys, and they were there. And he would minister on healing, emotional healing, and spiritual healing. But the last night was a Saturday night, and he was going to have a special baptism service afterwards for anyone who wanted to be baptized.
Right. So I really was excited at that prospect, because I'd only been water baptized as an infant, just sprinkled on the forehead. So I thought, well, I've been a born-again believer for some years now and never really had a true baptism. So I thought that would be a great opportunity for me. And, I think I wrote all about it in my journal that weekend, what that did for me. I just felt so washed clean. Wow. Even though I'd been a believer since I was 17, here I was in my late 20s, and it was so so beautiful for me to feel just like some old things got cleansed away and just so fresh and new. Almost like just being born again that weekend. But of course, with all this scripture we heard, all the ministry that was going on in those meetings, it was very life-changing. But what ministered to me, and Jeff didn't know it at the time, I think he was kind of surprised when I mentioned it to him, that it meant a lot to me that he was also there, not for any wrong motives or anything. He was there as a friend and being supportive of me at a very momentous occasion in my life. That baptism was something that I'd been wanting to do, and now I had the opportunity, and it really was a special, special weekend for me. And he was there, just standing with me and being a witness to that. That meant a lot to me.
Yeah, I stayed afterwards that night, but I needed to drive home because I had church the next day. So after that service, it was late. So I had to drive home at least 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
At least 2 hours. So I'm sure it was early in the morning by the time I got home to get ready for service the next day.
Right.
2, 3 o'clock, I'm sure it was when I finally got home.
So that was a sacrifice. And that's just how you are. That's the way you would treat people that you care about anyway. But you're still that way today. It's so wonderful.
The next milestone we want to talk about occurred during one of Teresa's birthday parties. Her roommates wanted to give her a surprise birthday party, so they had people come early and hide out in her apartment. And when she came home, she was surprised with all these birthday people there for a surprise party. But before the party, I had called Teresa's roommate and asked her, was there anything that Teresa wanted for her birthday? And she said that Teresa had all these song sheets from individual vineyard songs, and if there was a way to find these all in compilation, compiled together, that would help her not to carry all these song sheets around when she went and did worship. So I went to the local bookstore and I found 2 volumes of vineyard music, spiral bound together, and I presented to her for her birthday present. And that's a key tip to you guys: be intentional with your gifts. Find something that is meaningful and present it to your spouse as a gift. And just put a little thought into it. And it doesn't always have to be the glamorous thing, the diamond ring, the diamond pendants. It could be something thoughtful. And tell me how did that minister to you?
Oh, yes, it really did. Because giving those 2 books was way more songs than I even had. And the vineyard music at that time was kind of like the Bethel of today.
It was like Bethel of today.
It was what everybody wanted to be singing in their churches. And I was going to a small church that really loved the worship experience. We'd have a lot of worship in our services, and the vineyard music was the main thing that we draw from. So that's what I like to use when I would go out and minister. And those books, just like you said, that was so thoughtful to get something that would be a blessing to me. He wasn't trying to impress me or anything like that, just doing something that would minister to me and encourage me as a worshiper and a worship leader. And it really was encouraging. Very encouraging.
Yes. So the reason we're sharing these milestones of our relationship, the things that we can go back and we can talk about, is so that you encourage you to do the same thing in your relationship. Go back and talk about different things that happened as you built your friendship. You fell in love and you got to know a person from talking. You got to know your spouse by talking.
That's right.
Your future spouse by talking. So continue to do that. And so last week we had a marriage builder. You can go back and listen to those podcasts or the videos. But today's friendship builder is make a full breakfast together. And it's such a fun time. I know we can't do it every Saturday, but it's just a fun time. We get all the ingredients out and we make the batter for the pancakes, or we get the eggs out, and we scramble the eggs, and we put in cream, and we put in cheese, and we put in spinach, or we put in broccoli, whatever you like, and we cook the turkey bacon and make the toast, and it's just a fun time of spending time together, because you have to work around each other and work together. So it's just a fun time just to do something together. And all the romantic things that you do doesn't have to be the classical sense of romance. It can be just doing things together.
That's right.
And just building your friendship. You can talk, and you can just, talk about how to make the eggs, or how to make the pancakes batter just right, just the right consistency, and you just work on your skills as chefs, and as you make breakfast for each other.
Yes, it's fun. It is fun. We kind of look forward to that, or Saturday morning making breakfast together.
Right.
We enjoy it. So that's a really good friendship builder. And you can even have breakfast for a dinner some night. It doesn't have to be a morning thing.
You can have breakfast for dinner. You're right.
So we were going to add something new too, a romantic tip for wives. So last week, Jeff shared a couple of romantic tips for husbands. So this week, I thought should be my turn to share a romantic tip or a romance tip for the wives. So I've written a lot of them down, but I chose this one because it's been on my heart lately. This is what I like to keep kind of in the front of my mind a lot of times. Let your husband know that you appreciate the little things that he does. Because everybody, whether you serve one another out of just compassion for each other, love for each other, or you have to be asked to do something, still, we each need to know that we're appreciated. And I really like it if he tells me he appreciates something. But men, this is like a need that they have, that you're giving them honor. You're expressing honor to them when you say, I appreciate that you filled up my car with gas, or I appreciate that you put the kids in bed, or I appreciate that you got dinner for everybody and brought it home so I don't have to cook tonight. Just anything that he does. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Just be in that mode of being thankful and showing appreciation.
Right. In general, one of the basic needs of a husband is honor and respect from his wife. So I really do appreciate and treasure whenever you express your appreciation for things that I may do to serve you. So when we got married, we committed ourselves to a life of sacrifice for each other and to serve each other. My vows include serving Teresa. If only one of our needs gets met, Teresa's needs are going to be met. And that's true. I will sacrifice everything for Teresa to make sure that she prospers and blossoms and fulfills the calling of God of her life. I will lay down every desire and need that I have to serve her. And that's what marriage is about. It's a life of sacrifice.
Yes.
It's fulfilling sacrifice. And it's like you're just blessing and serving each other.
Yes,
because as Jimmy Evans says, every marriage has a 100% chance of being successful. And we want to encourage you to build on your marriage.
And build your friendship.
And build your friendship, because husbands and wives are friends for life.